Eren Yeager spent his entire life chasing freedom, and by the end, he was the most imprisoned person in the entire story. There is a moment early in Attack on Titan that most people brush past. Young Eren, sitting inside the walls, watching the Survey Corps return from outside. They are broken. Half of them are dead. The townspeople are angry, calling them fools for throwing their lives away. And Eren is the only one who looks at those broken soldiers and sees something worth wanting. Not survival, not safety, freedom. That one image burned itself into everything he became. Every choice, every sacrifice, every atrocity. All of it in his mind was pointing toward that one thing. But here's what the story is actually showing you. Eren did not want freedom. He wanted to stop feeling trapped. Those are not the same thing. In psychology, there is a concept called reactive autonomy. It is the urge to gain control not because you genuinely know what you want, but because something or someone made you feel powerless. You do not choose your direction, you just run away from the walls. Watch Eren carefully and you will notice something. He is never at peace when he gets what he wants. He gets the ability to transform, and immediately he needs more. He reaches the ocean, the moment he had dreamed about for years, and his first thought is not wonder. His first thought is, what do I have to destroy next? That is the trap. When your entire identity is built around escaping a constraint, you need that constraint to exist. Without it, you have no sense of self. So your mind does something subtle and almost invisible. It finds the next wall. It manufactures the next enemy. Eren was not free outside the walls. He was just fighting a larger cage, and the founding Titan, the ultimate power, the thing that was supposed to give him total freedom to reshape the world. It locked him into a predestined path he could not change. The freest man in the story had zero actual choice. That is not irony. That is psychology working exactly as designed. There is also something worth noticing about how Eren treats the people around him. The moment he starts seeing himself as the sole agent of freedom, everyone else becomes either a tool or an obstacle. Armin, Mikasa, the people he loved most, they became secondary to the mission. Psychologists call this identity fusion. Your goal and yourself become the same object. And when that happens, anything that challenges the goal feels like a personal attack on your existence. Eren was not evil. He was someone whose coping mechanism scaled to apocalyptic size. You have probably done a smaller version of this. Not the genocide, the psychology. You decided you were going to prove something. Maybe to a parent, a school, a group of people who wrote you off. And you worked, you pushed, you sacrificed, and then you got there. You achieved it, and something felt wrong. Not bad, just incomplete. Like you were holding a trophy and waiting to feel it. Because the goal was never really the goal. The goal was to make the feeling of not being enough stop. And feelings do not respond to achievements the way we expect them to. So you set a new target, a bigger wall, another thing to overcome. That is the Eren trap. And most people who fall into it never name it. They just call it ambition. So what do you actually do with this? Step 1. Notice when your drive is coming from pain, not direction. Ask yourself, am I moving towards something I genuinely want, or am I running away from a feeling? Those two things can look identical from the outside. Only you know the difference. Step 2. Build an identity that does not depend on the enemy. Eren needed the Titans, then Marley, then the entire world to justify who he was. If you need opposition to know who you are, remove the opposition and you remove yourself. Start asking what you would want if nothing needed to be proven. Step 3. Let the goal be enough without a next one already loaded. When you reach something, stay there for a moment. Not forever, just long enough to actually feel it. That pause is not laziness. It is the part where freedom actually lives. Eren never paused. That was the whole tragedy. The version of freedom worth having is quiet. It is not a war. It is not a mission. It does not require the world to cooperate. It is just the ability to sit somewhere and not feel like you need to escape it. Eren never got that. He was always outside the walls in his body and always inside them in his mind. That gap between what you are chasing and what you actually need is where most of the suffering lies, and naming it is the beginning of actually getting out. There is another character in anime who falls into a version of this same trap, but instead of scaling it outward, he collapsed it inward. And what happened to him is much darker and honestly more relatable. If you want to see that one, make sure you are subscribed. These videos come out quietly, no noise, just the good stuff.